Hey, so yeah, I the big bad black sheep, hot of fire, not a pretender liar. And this is a short reasoning, yeah. So, whoever you are, I hope you are alright, you know. But it's been a while and it's been in my spirit, you know, to do a follow up for the last two videos that I did about intuition, yeah. And even with Spaulding. Now, many people might not believe in black magic, and spell work and all of that, but we wrestle with not just flesh, but some very high principalities, yeah, the spirit. It's always light, or dark against light, there's always a war. So suicide, some people think it's just even a person suffering from mental health issues, but there are people that do death magic on other people, and it can play out in many ways, but suicide is a prominent outcome. Now, some people know the spirit of suicide as the spirit of nihilism, and I don't talk about my dreams because it's very personal, but I get visions in my dreams and I can see people who choose to come up against me. So the people that I talk about in my videos that have come up against me, because as I said, I've chosen to gracefully leave these people alone, and they can't. And I've confronted them with the truth, and they see that as an attack. Now, what really caused even the mentor, Miss Watson, for even for erase me? In the video, the videos that I did about responsibility, I spoke about her asking me if I could come over and watch over, her children. Yeah. Now, what I will say is this. Sometimes the words, they get jumbled when I'm supposed to do these videos, But let's say this. She and her children, right? She brings them into her manipulative schemes, yeah? And I realize that's how she trains them to be, which is very sadistic, And it even give me another perspective to look at, women that turn children against, the father. And in some cases, a lot of those fathers are shitty people. But, the children have eyes for themselves to see the true characters of the people close to them. But pertaining to that incident, right? What really caused this? She orchestrated for her son, I think, to steal an item from me. And this item turned out to be a perfume. Now, when her eldest daughter came home and I told her about it, and she was acting like, I was delusional and that maybe a ghost took it up or something like that. So it was classic rage baiting, you see. So when she came home that day and I told her what had happened, and she was downplaying it, right? Like she doesn't know that her children are doing these kind of things. And then, hypothetically, he came and said that he found the perfume. Yeah. And mind you, the perfume was never in the spot that he claimed that he had found it in. Right? Now, she was saying that it was her youngest daughter that maybe had took the perfume up. But that was not even possible because, when I had placed the perfume down, her daughter wasn't there. She was at school. So, fast forward. She, when I went home and I was like reflecting on it, and I was saying that, she would rather to protect her male child's image or ego or whatever, and throw her own daughter under the bus, And the next day, I end up over there, So I was like, no, it's not the next day, because I end up like turning my phone off and just, stop talking and she took offense to that and started to guilt trip me and to gaslight me that I was too sensitive. But anyway, after that day, the next day, I was over at her house and, I confronted her and I was like speaking normal. And it shows that, who was the real adult in that situation, because I was just having a conversation and she started to get emotional. See? So I was like, it all started with the conversation with she saying that, the school that her little girl went to was doing like this study about boys and girls, and that boys and girls think different, and she was like disagreeing with that, with that claim, and I agree, agree to disagree. But I said to her that it's true, male brains operate different from females, and they have different needs than us. Yeah. And I started to say, like, what really happened the other day really don't make sense, because you would rather to throw your daughter under the bus than to really confront your male child about his behavior, and she took great offense to that, so that's how that even that give her more motivation to increase her attacks, because I highly believe she does black magic, but yeah, I've experienced a lot of that, leading up to the death, the ego death, and you see, it was a series of events like that happened during that process, and for a while I never had an identity after that, and because my old self had died, and rebirth a new self, and that's what it really is, you have to just let your old self die and rebirth again, die without dying, you see, like the phoenix, you burn to the ashes and rise again. Yeah. And you can see, because next thing, I'm an alchemist, you see, and a whole heap of people mo put in a song, loop them up in a song, as them give me them negative energy, me transform it into music or poetry. Because even with the incident with this other content creator on TikTok, when she was in my following and I was in hers, I felt the weirdness of energies in my energy field. And the minute that I cut this person off, I felt like a relief, like a load came up off of me. And I instantly got the idea of the water poem that I did, you see. So you have to learn to transmute energies, and that's the key. That's what I do, and some people think that I have life easy, but I turn the body into good, Yeah. And it's like, I've been doing that like basically all my life, and without any idea of what I was really doing, And you see, when it comes to connecting with the Almighty, and even pertaining to the ego death, because one of the events that happened was the Kundalini awakening, and that's like, because I got my heart broken, and that's like the final straw, that broke the camel's back. And that, it was a painful time, but I can say that it opened my heart, to true love, which is self-love, you see. And sometimes when you go at the lowest, you go at your lowest, it's like you being ready, being prepared to be slingshot, to a higher purpose, basically. If that's clear enough for you. Yeah. Because I can remember a time where, it was just like pure darkness, in a realms of darkness. And in that realms of darkness, the ego was putting up a fight. That's why it wants you to kill yourself. Yeah, that's why it wants you to create suicide. And once you see it for what it is, as fear-based, and you realize there's nothing to really fear, and you let go, it's like a light, that you find yourself, the true self, which is the light, and that is connected to the Almighty. Yeah. And it's like, that's when you get propelled into, the light. That's when heart meets mind, soul meets mind, whichever one, brings you more clarity. I always get some good signs when I do these videos, because right now the rain is falling. But yeah, Spaulding spoke about being, spiritually attacked. And yeah, best believe that is real. Spiritual warfare is real. You see? I mean, social media is beautiful, but it doesn't really connect people. Because if you know some things where people do behind these screens, and I as an empath can feel it so much, People have so many access to your energy on these social media apps. Yeah, so you have to really protect yourself. And yeah, sometimes you have to just block some people from watching your profile, because every eyes have the light behind it. All these people have no soul. They live in pure misery and they would like to project that onto you. You know. And as a woman, you have to know you're timeless. This idea of being washed up, you know, it's a joke. You only get washed up when you don't take care of yourself, when you neglect yourself. Yeah, you should never do that. You see, and you see, women like Miss Watson, those types of women fuck up the village, you know, the support systems. Because I don't speak about the things, the goodness I've done to people. Yeah. And it might harsh to say this, but those types of people are undeserving, you know, ungrateful. See, genuinity, they lack genuinity. When you're a woman and you have a lot of light within yourself, you have to have a dark side to protect that, you know. And this world shamed us for having that side, that protective side. Don't be naive. Yeah. And don't let people gaslight you. You see me? Don't let them project their guilt and their insecurities onto you. Because I've been through that, you know. These people want to do wicked things to me and they want me to not protect myself. And that's the most stupidest thing, you know, a person can ever suggest to me. And Miss Watson has suggested that to me one time. You know, in a conversation that we had, she was saying that people who are disgustingly rude to me, I should continue being nice to them. Which is bullshit. No, you don't have to do them like how they do you, but yeah, proximity has to be there, you know, a very wide one. Yes, because your peace and your safety come first. If I should really go into details, man, I'm telling you, because I've survived almost being poisoned, you know. A lot of things, a lot of attempts on my life. And some people want the gifts that I have, but they think it's all glitz and glamour because everything has its contrast, its, you know, opposite. With every good there's a burden to carry, you know. and me being able to like see through a lot of these people, it only isolates me. I don't have a problem with that, you know, but there is no normal life in that. Because the minute people think that they can, hide behind a smile and kind gestures, like the energy, I can't help but feel that as well. And man, there is nothing to prove. Because most of the time who you want to impress is not even impressed by themselves. It's so funny. But yeah, I hope this was insightful. Yeah. You can't be afraid to be alone. And I've said this already. But yeah, when you get the chance to, be grateful, Because sometimes you need to realize that the people that you want in your life are not necessarily the type of people that you need, around. So just take care of yourself, take care of your peace, mind, take care of your heart, your innocence, Yeah. Ashe.